Hi guys, it's Carol. How are you? I'm okay. Um, my brother passed away this morning, and I, I've done two videos about him and how when I was a child he was just my hero. Um, he's in such a better place. He had been fighting cancer uh, for a long time, and I know he's just out of pain and in an awesome place, but I do ask for prayers for his children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. He has a family that loved him to pieces. And as I'm sure, in one video, I told you I don't know them, but I'm positive that this will be a terribly painful period of time as they deal with his passing. But um, I've told you before that he and I play Words with Friends. And we played up until the day before he passed away. And his mind was sharp as a tack. He could just beat the pants off of me playing Words with Friends. And that just pleased me immensely that right up until the end, he was sharp as could be. So uh, let's move on. um, it's weird because, I've told you before, we didn't really have much of a relationship, but we had as much as we could considering our backgrounds. Um, there are some things that are just too painful to open up again. And I know that he's gone to a better place and I'll get there too. And we'll have a loving relationship. I know we will. But anyway, let's move on to that virus. We've had two confirmed cases here. The governor closed schools, bars, restaurants, um, requested that we not meet into gatherings more than 10 people. Things are shutting down. It's just, that's kind of alarming, just because never in my life have I experienced anything like this. But you know what? I firmly believe it's all going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Um, we're going to get through this and everything will be fine. I think we will never take for granted a grocery store stocked full of food again. I think that's been the biggest shock for all of us is going to the grocery store and it not being stocked to capacity. So I don't think we'll ever go back to feeling the same way as we did before. I think we'll be better. I think we'll be better off because of this. And I think it's going to die down pretty soon and everything's going to be fine. I'm not worried about getting the coronavirus. I'm not worried about going into a horrible depression. I think we're going to be okay. So just remember that. I told you what Stephen Ritter said, Phyllis Stokes' son, and I love that. What he said was, things are never as bad as you are told, and things are never as good as you're told. And man, isn't that the truth about everything in life? You know, um, I like that. And this too will pass, and we're going to be fine. We are all going to be fine. Uh, some of my subs have done some really nice things for me, have sent me some things, and I've told them thank you over and over in emails, and uh, I'm just not comfortable showing things that they have sent me or have done for me right now. But because I don't want anybody else to think that they need to do something for me too. I'm fine. I'm fine. These were very loving gifts and I appreciate them and excited. Um, but I don't want anybody to feel like they have to send me something. I know that's a YouTube thing, Happy Mail. I know that's a YouTube thing, but I'm just too new to this to be real comfortable. I would feel like we're bragging if I showed you what some very sweet people have done for me, and I don't want to be a bragging person, and I don't want to make anybody else feel like they need to send me something. I just want you people to know that you are angels and what you've done for me is wonderful and I appreciate it. I just don't feel like sharing it on here. Someday that may change. Who knows? Um, I haven't had my medicine, and so things are a little shaky for me. I simply can't go without that medicine for my depression and still be able to hold it together. So right now I'm barely holding it together. Okay, let's go back to my vacation. That was such a fun time. This one morning, we got up in St. Louis and we decided to go somewhere. I had I had made arrangements to go to Grant's farm that day, and um, I told my kids about this Grant's farm. We really didn't know what it. This was before the internet, where you could see everything. We really didn't know exactly what it was. My kids thought it was going to be another farm like where we spent the night at Nauvoo. And they weren't excited to do that. They wanted to do something else. I don't even remember what. But we had that paper map that you unfold and you can never fold back again. And we had addresses. And they wanted to go to some other thing. I can't even remember what. So we were trying to find that place. And we had forgotten about Grant's farm. We weren't going to do that. So we were trying to get to this other location and got lost. I can get lost going around the block. I tell my kids all the time, we're not lost, we're taking the scenic route. But we've been on lots of scenic routes. Anyway, I got lost, and we didn't even have a compass. That was before cell phones, before GPS, and we didn't even have a compass. And we're in a strange place. So anyway, we were trying to find some location and got lost and just happened to stumble across Grant's farm. And I told the kids, well, there's the sign for Grant's farm. Let's just go here because we know where it is now. We're here. So let's just do this. There was some grumbling, but okay. So we go to Grant's farm. It was awesome. It was awesome. I've got some notes here. Grant's Farm is a 281-acre ancestral home of the Bush family, not the George Bushes, the Anheuser-Busch family. Before that, it belonged to Ulysses S. Grant. His father-in-law gave it to him and his wife when they married, gave them this farm, and then much later it was sold to the Bush family. But anyway, it was acreage, and Ulysses S. Grant hand-built a cabin on this property, and it's the only hand-built cabin by a president that we still have. And then later they built a mansion, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful property. Beautiful property. But we did not know what it was, but it turned out to be the most wonderful thing. We ended up staying there like all day. There was a train that you rode around the property, and that was great. And when I looked it up online, it says they have 900 animals, and this was like 16 years ago, this information that I'm reading, 100 different species. And I do remember that. I remember that this was a huge place, and you took the train and you could get off at different places. And there was the Anheuser-Busch Clydesdales there. At that time, I think they had like 200. And they had the cutest little colts. Oh, they were wonderful. My son, I talked to him, And he was the youngest of my kids at the time. And he said he remembers being fascinated by their hairy feet. I remember being fascinated by how huge they were. Clydesdales are huge horses and beautiful. And I remember we petted a lot of them. They would just come up to the fence and you could pet them, and that was great. And then they had this one area that was like an old German village or something. You could sample beer there if you were old enough. But that was neat to see these buildings that look like old timey Germany. And then they had all these shows. It was free to get in. You had to pay for parking at that time, but to get in was free, and the shows were free. They had gift shops that cost money and food, but the shows and to tour the grounds and ride the train, all that was free, which was great for me. I mean, it was awesome. Anyway, they had these all these different shows at different times. I remember we went to one that involved parrots. You sat on these benches in front of a little stage. I mean, you were just right there. And I remember one was an elephant that did tricks. And I remember thinking at the time, if that elephant wanted to stampede us, he's just feet from us, you know. But we all got to pet the elephant, and that was really neat. I don't remember what all the shows were, but there were several shows that we got to go see. And I just loved the Clydesdales. That was the best part of it for me. My son, that was amazed by the hair on the Clydesdales' feet, told me the best memory he had of there was not watching the Clydesdales, but watching the flamingos. It was a good time. If any of you are ever in St. Louis, please go to Grant's Farm. I think you will just love it. Like I said, we just were lost, happened to come across it and went in, not knowing what to expect, and it turned out to be absolutely wonderful. And that we stayed all day at some places, and that means it was pretty good. So if you ever get a chance, I'd suggest don't go on the arch, don't go up in the arch, but go to Grant's Farm. It was wonderful. Uh, we didn't buy any souvenirs there. We didn't have that kind of money, but I just remember enjoying it so much, and I would really suggest anybody go there. Uh, I think that's going to be it for tonight. It's been a long day. My grandkids are on spring break and had them, and um, we'll have them tomorrow, and we're gonna make chocolate chip cookies tomorrow. Um, and they are excited. One of my subs sent me some grocery items, and one thing was a can of Frito bean dip. That is my grandkids' favorite snack, is Fritos and bean dip, and I have Fritos. So I made a roast today. Tomorrow we're gonna have roast sandwiches and Fritos and bean dip and make chocolate chip cookies. So that'll be fun. And our library is not yet closed, so my daughter wants to take them and get some books because next week their school would be closed, but we're gonna have things to do at home. And they love the library. So that's what we've got planned for tomorrow. Library trip. Oh, another sub told me about that Broadway shows have to be closed. And so you can watch them online for free. I don't know how it works. I don't have a smart TV. I hope you don't need that. I'm going to have to figure it out. I just haven't had time to research that yet, but that'll be cool. And she also told me that zoos and museums are doing like online field trips for kids. So we're going to check that out and see if we can do that. My granddaughter especially was excited over that. So we're going to see what we have to do to be able to do that tomorrow. And otherwise, things are really good. I appreciate your guys so much. I really do. Um, your comments, your prayers, your kindness, it's just overwhelming to